everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, there have been a lot of changes over at the LDS Church.
Just down the street.
And almost literally
Yeah.
just down the street. And we're going to talk about kind of what it all means, and we're going to have some predictions of our own as well.
Oh, yeah, we're
upcoming
gonna
things.
predict.
Mormons, this is a fun little pastime.
We're gonna prophesy.
We're going to prophesy, but Mormons love to speculate about little changes in the church, right? Ooh, I hear that they're going to have a gospel doctrine.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
manual. Oh, it's going to be something. Blah, blah, blah. Well, but they've actually had some significant changes.
Some major
and,
changes.
And we're going to talk about those, but that's on the second half
I feel
of the
like
show.
the Mormons have whiplash at this point. There's going to be a rash of people going to therapy, just going, I don't know what to do.
I'm not going to church an hour less on Sundays, and it just doesn't feel right. Well, we're going to be talking about more than just that. So.
Yes, indeed.
All right. But coming up first, Dan.
Yeah.
I've got a story about the Shroud of Turin. A little bit of an update here.
Then
right?
now, for those who aren't aware, the Shroud of Turin is 100% unequivocally, absolutely a cloth placed over that was placed over Jesus, and
absolutely.
has his really remarkably not human-like features imprinted on it forever.
Absolutely. Discovered back a few hundred years ago, right? I don't actually know the full origin story.
In Torino,
of the Shroud
Italy,
of
for no
Turin.
reason.
Yeah. But most mainline scientists, anybody who's actually really looked at the thing,
Right.
they all agree that it is a fake
Right.
that was created in the 14th century. This is the general. The carbon dating has been used to look at the shroud, so forth and so on. And as you point out, the image that's there is just not.
It doesn't look like a person.
Doesn't really look too human.
It's weird. I mean, you see it and you read it as that's a human, but it's a drawing of a person. It's not an actual.
Right. Well,
Also, since when do blankets that are placed over you hold your image after the fact?
Dan, I know. That's what makes it a miracle.
Right.
This is where you need to, you clearly are trying to apply the reason and logic
I need to stop.
of human understanding.
It's a daguerreotype
science
shroud.
Isn't going to help you understand that better.
It's a tin type shroud.
It's just not. That's ludicrous.
There was silver in it somehow.
There was not. However, scientists,
yes,
air quoting scientists,
in big fat air quotes, sure.
Have continued to look into the Shroud of Turin, and they're trying to do research and studies on it that help us better understand Christ and so forth. So they have actually there's been a group of researchers who have actually hung men on a cross and added blood to them while they're hanging on the cross.
Oh my God! Okay,
and then wrapping them in shrouds similar to the shape and cut and everything of the Shroud of Turin, in order to show that the blood markings on the so-called real Shroud of Turin,
right,
are legitimately from a human being.
Why are they trying so hard to prove a thing that is definitely not the thing?
I know. And if you're already these people clearly already believe in Jesus Christ.
Right.
So why does that's what they need to believe in. Why are they so obsessed about this shroud and whether or not it's real? And what lessons can you learn? You already believe in Jesus. You don't need anything else.
The fact or non-fact of a piece of cloth is irrelevant.
I mean,
you can just let it go. It wasn't authenticated? Great, we'll let it go.
It makes me believe, though, that these people actually have a lot of deeply held doubts about Jesus.
Right.
And they just desperately need the Shroud of Turin to be proof.
I need this to be real, you guys. Don't try to take this from me. I need this.
But there's this whole thing that so they're saying that these tests, right, and showing that a man with sort of a similar body shape and everything and features of the one represented in the shroud would leave these kind of marks, right? That this is that it supports the hypothesis that the shroud is authentic. And I say no, it only shows that maybe perhaps in order to create the shroud, they did wrap a body.
Right.
That was covered in blood. It shows that you were able to fake the Shroud of Turin. It seems like it's proof that the Shroud of Turin could be faked.
Right. Yes, exactly.
It doesn't seem
you've proven it. Oh, good. We've proven that you can do... Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, shit.
Oh. We didn't think that through all the way to the end. Oh, my God. Well, there you go.
And I also just love... There seems to be this they're also talking about how like they've had to like adjust how they were like where the marks on the hands would have been, and like how their understanding of how the hands might have been like nailed to the cross. That staging it this way to make it to duplicate the shroud.
Yeah.
They now have new understanding about like those things, and I'm like this wasn't already a historic thing that Romans did. There was a methodology.
Yeah.
Like you're not like you shouldn't be trying to make it work for the shroud. You should be trying to make it work for how Romans actually understood anatomy and nailing someone to a cross. I mean, it was a real thing.
I just love
they forget that Jesus Christ was not the only person who was ever nailed to a cross.
Right.
The Romans did this all the time.
Yeah.
It was one of their favorite forms of torture.
It's one of my favorite forms. All right. Well,
Anyway.
there you go. Dum-dums.
Yeah.
There's no shroud. There's
There
a
is
shroud. There's a shroud.
There is a shroud.
There's an old cloth.
Right.
With a dude on
It's
it.
just not 2,000 years old.
Right.
It's only 600 years old.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take us... So, the Southern Baptist Conference... Which is, you know, the great, the sort of overarching organization that the convention. Sorry, the Southern Baptist Convention.
Sure.
Is the governing body of the denomination of the Southern Baptists.
Perfect. Okay.
And they are grappling with a bunch of revelations about sex abuse by pastors and employees of the church.
Okay.
And it's tricky, and it's a big thing. And I actually, after having read several articles on it, because they've convened and they're talking about this very thing a lot.
Right.
I'm going to just say that I'm very impressed with the current president of the Southern Baptist Convention, a guy named J.D. Greer.
Okay.
Who is a young guy. He's in his early 40s or mid 40s, and he is taking the shit head on.
Really?
So I'm giving the dude props.
Okay.
He is literally like his own church, which I believe is in South Dakota. Sorry, South Carolina. That's
not that southern.
Very, very different thing. No, South Carolina. His own church has really strict rules in place for anyone who's going to be in contact with any children. They have to go through background checks. They have to be shadowed for months and blah blah blah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So he's got it sort of down. His mega church, which has 10,000 attendees across several campuses. They actually have to go through like some pretty serious stuff if you're going to be a pastor or a youth minister or a Sunday school teacher or even a volunteer. Right. So that's amazing. And he has, but there's no national rules. There's no rules in place for the national organization. So because they've been sort of hiding behind this. Well, there's this individual autonomy of each of the congregations, sort of ethos within the group. And he's saying this is bullshit. Because there was some Texas newspapers actually came out with some big revelations. They got a list of of the pastors and stuff in the Southern Baptist in churches within Texas, and then they compared them against a list of sex offenders. Mm-hmm. Found some that were on both lists, which is a little frightening, but also like there's obviously a problem,
right,
within the Southern Baptist Church,
right,
of this kind of thing. Now, one of the interesting articles that I looked at was on the RNS, Religion News Service, and it was saying, and it was written by a guy named Thomas Reese.
Okay.
And it basically is comparing the crisis in the Catholic Church with the crisis in the Southern Baptist Church. And it points out some very interesting things about the Catholic Church crisis. Okay. Because a lot of us want to say, well, it's about the celibacy of the priests, it's about the blah, blah, blah. And what he's saying is, you know what? This is happening. If this is happening this strongly in the Southern Baptist Church, then we have to know that it's not about the celibacy, because that's not a thing that applies.
Right.
It's not about homosexuality, which some people say because so many Catholic priests are gay, and that's sort of a haven for gay people in the Catholic Church. It's a place for them to go.
Right.
It's not about that because, you know, these Southern Baptists, they are, you know, they're straight, and they're still, you know, molesting children, including boy children, you know, so it's not about the homosexuality.
Okay.
It's not the hierarchy. Anyway, it went through, and all of what it points out is, well, now, this wasn't the conclusion of this article, but, I mean, if you've got a church with a lot of followers, guess what? Unless you're taking extreme measures to avoid it, you've got a problem with sexual molestation.
Yeah.
It's just guaranteed to happen. It's just
wow
how this kind of system works. Somebody gets in a position of power, in a position of extreme trust, and most people who are in those positions, I would say most priests, they're fine.
Right.
But that kind of a position inherently is going to lead to some cases that include molestation and just horrific behavior.
Wow.
It seems very likely that and we report on this all the time. We report on it happening in the Mormon Church, in Hinduism, in fucking Islam. It's just guaranteed. So I just thought that was very interesting. But this Greer guy is actually like calling his own church very much to account and saying, you know what, we can't hide from this anymore. If you're not, and he basically said, and we'll see how much teeth he's able to get into this rhetoric, but the rhetoric is, if you're not putting into place very strict safeguards, and if you're not addressing victims in an honest and open and real way, and if you're not taking steps once you hear about it, victimization, if you're not, you know, contacting authorities and taking proper steps to deal with it, you're not in communion with this group.
Wow.
So,
how did this? Kudos to this guy.
Yeah,
he's got something figured out.
I feel like he does. I mean, it's rhetoric at this point, but I want to see. But I'm watching it because it seems like so obvious, you know. But the churches like to protect their own, and they like to rally around. You know, they circle their wagons.
They need to protect their own children.
Yeah, that's who they need to be protecting, and this guy seems to get it. We'll see. I was just pleased with that.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
And lessons to learn about just organizations that work with children and vulnerable communities in general. Like make sure that you have everything in check, because presumably an atheist community center that was meeting and had maybe like some little youth classes and this and that would also
benefit from this
kind of thinking and these kind of procedures.
100%. 100%. If you run an organization in your local neck of the woods, and it doesn't matter how nice they seem. Right. If you're putting somebody in charge of a bunch of other people's kids, take steps.
You better make sure.
Take steps.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So So the Catholic Church is up to something.
Uh-oh.
Dan.
Skun dun dun.
They're coming up in May. A group of scholars from a range of different disciplines are going to be gathering at the Gregorian University in Rome.
Okay.
And they're going to be discussing the results of an effort that the church has been working on called Understanding Unbelief.
Okay.
And this is all happening with sort of the church's involvement and the church's blessing. The conference is going to be called Cultures of Unbelief. And they're working to try to understand why so many non-believers and unaffiliated folk are starting to come up out of the woodwork and leaving their pews, right? And trying to live better lives without, religion and Catholicism.
Sure.
Specifically, right?
Here's a question for you. Are they actually asking any unbelievers, or are they just...
No, they are.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of these things, you hear a lot of religious people talking about what's going on with atheists and unbelievers, and it becomes instantly clear that they haven't ever heard from one of those people.
Yeah, but apparently this whole the growth of the non-believer, this group in society, it's largely been seen as a Western phenomenon. Specifically very European and starting to really get going here in the United States.
Right.
Apparently, though, they're looking hard at South Korea, Vietnam, and Japan, where this sort of same mentality is also on the rise. People are leaving the more traditional or the more formal, religions that they were a part of. In particular, this next generation, and they're not interested in it. They're not interested in organized belief, organized faith of any kind, right? And so, but this is not the first time that the Catholic Church has done this. 50 years ago, they had another conference called The Culture of Unbelief.
Huh.
This one is Cultures of Unbelief. That one is The Culture of Unbelief.
Oh, wow. Look, you guys, we got multiple cultures going. Good job, everybody.
But at that time, they set up a pontifical secretariat for non-believers, the Secretariatus Pro Non Credentibus. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And the whole goal of that was to dialogue with non-believers.
By the way, Pontifical Secretariat is my drag name, just so you know. I just wanted to get that out there.
Anywho. But yeah, that one was put together by Pope Paul VI. He saw atheism as one of the most serious matters of the time.
Interesting.
And work has continued. The Secretariat continues to operate at the Vatican.
I think we should volunteer to meet with them.
Well, we'll give them what for.
We'll show them.
We'll tell them what they're missing.
You speak Italian. We can do it.
Ach, yeah, I do.
Wow. Hadn't realized that was Italian. I've been misusing it so much.
Yeah, I just thought that was very interesting that they have put together this thing. They expect about 3,000 people to attend.
Well, they have a problem. We're leaving. We're out.
They've got a huge problem.
Peace. Yeah.
And they want to better understand how to talk to us, how to reach us.
Yes.
Right.
Here's the hint. You can't.
The next time you feel like the Catholic Church is reaching out to you,
run away.
They probably are.
Yes, they are.
Right.
And if that reaching out looks like it's aimed at your crotch, leave. Or stay. I don't know. That you're a grown person.
They're better known for that reaching out.
That's the reaching out that they've been doing. Might be part of the reason why people are leaving. You never know. Anywho, wow. So we've gone from Baptists to Catholics to Methodists. Schism watch.
Oh yeah, you love this topic.
Oh, I love looking for schisms, and I think the United Methodists they might schiz. We are we are on the precipice of
disunited,
the deunited, the non-united.
The divided Methodists.
The far less united Methodist Church. They're meeting at the end of this month.
Okay.
And they are going to be discussing possible new rules to allow LGBT clergy.
Oh, my.
And to officially allow LGBT weddings, marriages.
What are they thinking?
Well,
this is going to cause serious problems, Dan.
Yes.
What does the Lord think of this? Have they asked the Lord what the Lord thinks?
Here's the problem. They have, and he's told them different things. So, for instance...
No. The Lord has his mind made up, Dan.
You think?
He never says different things to different people.
You think?
This never happens.
Well, tell that to Reverend Myron McCoy.
Okay.
From Chicago, who is very excited about allowing in the gays. He's super on board with he wants to ride that gay train.
Sounds like a good guy.
Yes. Versus, okay, so you won't be surprised to learn that the African United Methodists are unhappy with this prospect.
Oh boy!
I read an interesting article from Nairobi, in Kenya, following Reverend Wilton Odongo. Man, it took me a couple runs at that one, but I got it in the end. Anyway, that reverend is very much opposed to this and is horrified by the prospect,
right?
And doesn't know what to do. If he's going to be, I think he's going to be at the convention that's convening to talk about it, and he's very worried about it. In the Reverend Jeff Kersey from Lexington, South Carolina, on the other hand, knows exactly what to do with his very large flock, which is he plans on leaving.
Wow.
His Mount Horeb United Methodist Church will likely become Mount Horeb no longer United Methodist Church.
Some other Methodist.
What
are the other Methodists?
I don't know anything about Methodists. I don't know.
Is there another Methodist group they can? I hope they won't be alone, Dan.
Yeah.
In their methodologies.
In their Methodistologies. 44,000 churches worldwide in the United Methodist Church.
Wow.
31,000 in the United States of America. And they're headed to schism one way or t'other. Whether they stay with the old rules,
right,
and then the more liberal churches leave,
right,
or they move to the new rules and the more conservative churches leave. You gays are just causing people. You're causing division in this land, in this world.
That's not what we ever wanted, Dan.
It's what you're doing. It's what you're doing.
Ours is a message of peace, Dan.
First, you steal the rainbow.
Well,
then
nobody had ever really claimed it, Dan.
The Lord claimed it with Moses. It was
the Lord hadn't used it in a long time.
And then you steal the perfectly happy word "gay," ruin that one, and now what? Now you're just breaking churches
Now we
up.
get the Methodists.
Now, Dan.
We get the we got the rainbow. We got the word "gay," and thank you. We now own the Methodists.
There's a gay juggernaut just marching through, tearing up churches.
Now, you are unstoppable with these Methodists. You're under our control.
You're next, Methodists.
It's amazing.
There you go.
Well, Dan.
Yes.
Another problem at churches right now.
Uh-huh.
Is that they're having a hard time funding themselves.
Yeah,
Right?
it's really
because
hard.
they're losing parishioners,
Uh-huh.
and we've largely moved to a cashless society.
Right.
We just don't carry as much cash around as
No.
we used to.
I don't have
right?
anything to put in that collection plate.
And
Sorry.
it's not like we're going to whip out a checkbook and write a
Right?
check
I don't
anymore.
have one of those either.
So what form of payment do we use
What could we do?
all the time that churches just haven't really gotten on board with?
You're going to pass around the collection card swiper?
Essentially, yes. A group of the Archdiocese of Dublin in Ireland is testing a card payment system. They plan on having a number of card readers at the back of the chapel.
I see.
Right, so that as you're leaving, you can just go by. These are going to be these nice, fancy, contactless type. And you just tap your card. Those are really the contactless cards are really popular in other parts of the world.
What about the chip
We're
and
way
pin?
behind.
What about the chip and pin?
Well, they may do chip and pin as well. I don't know, but they're going to be. They feel like that when the plate goes around, they're just not getting enough money anymore.
Right.
And see, here's the deal. The local parishes have traditionally really, really, really relied on the money from that fucking plate.
Yeah.
That's what keeps the parish
Going.
largely running.
Sure.
Is that money. Well, Ireland has seen a massive drop in their sort of people who claim to be Catholic.
Yeah.
And so, like, in 1981, more than 90% of the population described themselves as Catholic. Just 3 years ago, that number had fallen to 78%.
Right.
Obviously, it's still Catholic, still the thing in Ireland.
Right.
But even just self-identifying doesn't mean that you also go to church.
Well, and also because in Ireland it was like it's this for the longest time it was part of your as much a part of your identity as your last name. It was like. It was how you picked sides in a war, and stuff. But now that's a less of an issue, and also, I mean, people are just sort of wising up to religion in general. I mean, when the last time the Pope went there, nobody showed up.
I know.
They don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. They obviously passed that constitutional, didn't they make a constitutional change? This last recently, where they legalized abortion.
Yeah.
All they're going nuts over there.
They're going whole hog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, needless to say, that has their Catholic leaders very concerned.
Oh yes.
About the church.
They're scrambling.
So if you happen to find yourself in a Catholic church in Dublin, you can now you now have an easy way to pay for the services, the spiritual services you just received.
What's their Venmo handle?
See, this is the thing. That is what they should be doing. They need Venmo. They need a moment instead of passing around the plate where everybody just pulls out their phone.
Yes.
Sends, Venmos the church
and now,
a little bit of money.
As we give the homily, please open your PayPal to chapter 8, verse 6.
Yeah. There are plenty of people, though, who feel that the cash machines in the back are a little tacky.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the card machines in the back.
Yeah.
I'd love it if they were actually like ATMs.
Oh, my God. That would be funny, too.
So that you could,
So you can actually be seen. Here's the thing. You need to be seen putting the money in.
Absolutely.
To the thing. That's half of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the social pressure is half of the joy of the thing. Yeah. So that's what they should do
Yeah, actually.
And then you have to give a 20. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to come out in denominations of €1 or whatever.
Well, and then they also get to collect all those wonderful, wonderful ATM fees.
Yeah. Boom,
you want
baby.
those ATM fees.
Yeah, you do.
The ATM fees are what it's all about.
Yeah, even if you just told your parishioners, just get your cash here and let us keep the ATM fee.
Yeah.
Boom, baby.
The Church of Catholicism, or the Bank of Catholicism.
That's right. I'm surprised they don't have their own bank. Do they?
I
would be surprised.
I would say that in the Vatican City, they probably have some kind of financial institution.
I'm sure that they have many such things. Bless you.
Gracias.
God bless you. I'm going to take us to Portland, Oregon. We'll close out with some good news. Not good news yet, but a proposed good news. There's a proposed ordinance in front of the Portland City Council that would add non-religious people as a protected class in their in their city.
Portland.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So the FFRF, the local chapter of the FFRF, is pushing to get this done so that they can so that discrimination against those of us what don't believe in no Jeebus can be made illegal.
Huh.
Because that it sucks. It sucks that there are many places in this country where you could deny housing to someone because they don't believe in God, or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of bullshit going on.
Right.
So Portland is working to become one of the cities that where that can happen. Now the FFRF's own Madison, Wisconsin, passed a similar ordinance back in 2015. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good thing to have on the books. You need
good for them.
Need to protect people.
I would feel very welcomed.
Right.
Going to Portland.
Yeah, it's almost surprising that it's not there now.
I felt I knew there was something that made me feel ill at ease the last time I was in Portland.
It's that.
I don't know what that was. It could have just been the patchouli.
Yes, that permeates the air there. It's true. So there you go. Good news. They're working towards some good things. Some places in literally the most liberal places in the country.
Yeah. No, but great. Has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I applaud them.
No.
We're gonna get that done here.
No word yet as to whether Tulsa's following suit. Or
Tulsa
or Montgomery.
You never know.
You never do. We'll see.
I kind of already know.
Well, friends, if you have any questions, comments, things that you'd like to say about any of the stuff we've discussed so far, you can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in.
Cha-ching!
Dan.
Yo.
Chris McDonald has been coming up lately.
Mm-hmm.
This the kooky guy with the kooky drawl.
And he has some great ideas. I feel like what we can say about him for sure is that he is he's a level-headed thinker.
A deep thinker.
A deep dumb man. And he's worried about some pop culture people.
Okay.
Some pop icons.
Oh. All right.
So let's hear what he has to say about that.
Listen in.
What we're finding out these people are doing to the children and the pedophilia and the sex trafficking. And all roads lead to Rome and all roads lead to Hollywood. When you get down to it, it's the influence of the masses. I mean, and again, I'll just say this again. I'm going to throw Lady Gaga into this. We talked about her on one of the shows with Zach, maybe in the first one, or somebody we talked to about Lady Gaga. I don't know who it was, but Lady Gaga basically literally performed a satanic summing of a demon at the Super Bowl where the Falcons played the Patriots. And we Falcon fans are still crying about that. But the halftime show was nothing but a demonic ritual. Okay? This lady who is full of the devil, I pray for her soul every day. This past January, she's thrust into the scene of what? a blockbuster movie, a remake of a 1978 film called A Star is Born.
There are no coincidences.
No coincidences. You know what that is referencing, folks? What is Lucifer called? He's called the morning star or the fallen star, the even whatever. You know, Jesus said, I am the morning and the evening star, but Satan is called the star. Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven as a star falls from heaven. And when you say a star is born, that is a reference. That was a slap to the American public with a demon, a Satanist, a practicing Satanist in the lead role. That it's okay. A star is born. Satan is born into this world.
Wait, is that what that phrase means?
Okay.
A star is born?
A, his logic's impeccable. B, here's what I love. I love the fact that he's basically saying that the use of the phrase a star is a definite reference to Satan. And then he goes on to say, you know, Jesus is also a star.
Oh, yeah.
So wait, what if this is just a reference to that star? What if A Star is Born is a reference to Jesus himself?
What about all the stars in Hollywood?
Oh, my God.
And on television?
Yeah.
They're all satanic, Dad.
Wait a minute. Donald Trump referred to himself as a star.
We should actually email that in to McDonald.
Just see what he has.
Say, and play like a sort of an earnest, you know.
Well, I mean, the most
Christian. Yeah,
exactly. The most famous clip of Donald Trump saying that is, when you're a star, you can grab them by the pussy. Like, how much more satanic do you need to be?
Wow. Yeah. Man.
Of course, he will instantly be able to justify that somehow. They're real good at, like, justifying their own positions, no matter what those positions are. That Lady Gaga. I love how he said it. Gaga.
He I swear he has the same accent as Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. That's a little bit of an old reference for you youngins out there.
Yeah.
But
you think? Might be a little bit dated. If you're over 70, you might remember that one. From the what?
But
is it from the Newhart show?
It's from Newhart, the one that's just simply called Newhart.
I think there were 7 different shows. One was the Newhart show. One was the Bob Newhart show. One was just Newhart. One was Old Heart. You never know.
Yeah.
But yes.
No. Heart and Heart. Heart to Heart.
Heart to
That wasn't Bob Newhart. That was a different one.
Should have been.
I would have loved it if that was Bob Newhart. It would have been a better show.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we had some folks write in. We had an email that I've got to read. This is from Melinda, who says, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I was listening to show number 376, where you were talking about Pope Francis acknowledging the sexual abuse of nuns, and you said something that caught my attention. We're in trouble. As a former Catholic, I feel obligated to point out that there is no such thing as a, quote, healthy sex life within a Catholic marriage. Sex exists only within the confines of a marriage and only for the procreation of children.
Oh.
Not ever for pleasure, and not ever outside of marriage. Of course, very few Catholics actually conform to this. However, the teachings begin early and contribute to a huge sense of shame surrounding anything remotely sexual. I did not go to Catholic school, but I had weekly Catholic education sessions, read forced indoctrination, from the first grade until I finally refused to go as a freshman in high school due to my increasingly uncomfortable thoughts about the role of women in Catholicism. Anyway, the first time I remember hearing the edicts about sex I was in 3rd grade, 9 years old, nothing explicit at that age. But the lessons were repeated annually and got more and more involved every year, sometimes directly contradicting what we were taught in health classes. It was confusing and deeply damaging.
Oh.
So healthy sex and Catholicism, that's a no.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, Melinda, I can relate. Mormons are pretty fucked up about sex, too. But at least in Mormonism, it's okay to enjoy it once you're married.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And actually, there's no specific prohibition on birth control. Many Mormons feel like there is.
Yeah.
But there isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Religion's not awesome about sex. They are. They might have missed a couple of the boats on sex.
Yeah. They
don't get it.
They don't seem to miss an opportunity to make it seem evil and bad.
Yeah, that's the Lord's own truth. Hey, I'm going to start us off on the donors because we had a PayPal donor. So thanks to new Venerable, is that what we decided? Venerable listener Keith.
Oh, fantastic.
So thank you so much. And then what have you got?
Well, we have one new donor on Patreon.
Okay.
But this donor is making a splash.
Ooh.
Let me tell you.
What?
He is joining the Pantheon.
Ooh.
And he goes by the name Jash.
Well, fancy Jash.
I think you have to say it that way. Jash.
Well, tell me about this Pantheon.
Well, the Pantheon is made up of now 6 donors. These are the sort of the top donors.
Our top tier.
They all go collectively by the name Jash, Scat, Hannah, Liz, Dee, and Judy.
Wow.
I don't know why that's... Anyway, and these kind folk all went to and joined up on Patreon by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com. They clicked on the support tab where they got the option to either go to PayPal or to Patreon. On Patreon, there's rewards and whatnot. You also can gain access to an ad-free version of the show, which might be appealing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
we do a weekly diary, an audio diary that you can listen to.
Special content, people all over there, and you can check that out if you decide that you want to. It would be greatly appreciated if you could. And we thank all of our donors and all of our supporters. And, we couldn't do it without you.
In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Dan.
Hey, sir.
The Mormons.
Yeah, we talk about them quite a bit because that's,
That's what we know.
You sculpt with the clay you're given.
Yeah, and we both live in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Which there's, there's a good presence of the LDS Church here.
It's an interesting, I think it's unique in these United States, or even on this continent. You don't get a place that is so tied into one single religion in the United States of America. You don't get a place that is just like so interwoven, just politically, historically, culturally, with a single weirdo religion like you do in Salt Lake City. So you, our listeners, are well informed about Mormonism.
In our little corner of the globe.
Yeah.
They've been up to some interesting things lately. They seem to be aware on a very real level about the things that might be rubbing some of their members the wrong way.
They are realizing how badly they suck and trying to take a few steps to suck a little bit less or to be perceived as sucking less.
It's funny because like a lot of the changes that they've made through the years, I always perceived as sort of maybe socially or culturally trying to keep up. Right?
Sure. Like when they were 40 years late and decided, we should probably let the black folk have full
membership
in the church.
It always seemed like it was more like that kind of stuff. It never seemed to me, and maybe it was just, like I was too young to really realize or whatever, but these most recent changes, and there's been a series of them, they seem to be removing what I would call like points of friction that the membership might actually be having with the church itself.
Right.
like taking a 3-hour church requirement on Sundays and reducing that down to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which taking a half hour off of the temple ceremony.
Yeah. By the way, people who are used to that 1 hour block of church, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
They may hear 2 hours and think, oh my God, that's the worst. That's torture or whatever. But you got to understand that if you were a Mormon, if you grew up in Mormonism, or if you've been used to the 3 hour block, a 2 hour block of church is going to feel like you didn't even go. It's going to feel like you're cheating.
That load just got lightened, folks. And there've been a couple of these. What were some of the others? This week they just announced that those young Mormon missionaries, right?
Those little shits that knock on your door every now and then.
Well, they used to have a rule, hard rule.
Was in place when you were in there.
Yep, and it was not to be broken, that you got 2 calls home a year.
Yep.
Mother's Day and Christmas, and that was it. All other contact with your family had to be by letters.
Right.
Letters home.
Yes.
In the mail.
And I remember when it was groundbreaking when they started to allow email.
Right.
But now they're saying they're just breaking the chains of oppression, people, because now these poor missionaries can actually write home, or can actually call home once a week.
Once a week.
It jumped from twice a year to once every week.
Oh my God. And
madness.
And let me tell you, not all Mormons are completely down with this.
No, they are not necessarily on board.
They think that isolation and depression that would settle in on these kids was actually a good thing.
It built character. It's a character building thing. 100%.
And it let them focus on the tasks at hand rather than being distracted by things like family connections.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the last thing you need is to be feel supported and loved and all that.
This is a time for you to grow and develop as a human being.
Yeah.
Well,
what are you, some kind of mama's boy?
A generation, though, that was raised by helicopter parents,
right,
was having a very, very difficult time being out and disconnected.
Right.
Like us Gen Xers,
our parents,
I was glad to be rid of them.
I know. Our parents barely noticed that we were around and we didn't want them, and it was fine.
And I left and probably 2 months in before they noticed I was gone.
Yeah, and when Christmas rolls around, it was like, oh, I guess I better call my folks. That policy was probably in place as much to save the church money on long-distance charges as it was anything else.
Oh, no. The families will be paying for these. There's no way the church is footing the bill. No way.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that, people pay for this stuff by themselves. Anyway, here's the deal. And we should also mention that lady missionaries, you might see a lady missionary in trousers. So,
oh my God,
big changes have happened. And what we can't make clear to you is you listeners who are not former Mormons is how big an earthquake this feels like.
Yeah, I was thinking seismic. So it's funny you say earthquake. It's huge.
These are like really big, like kind of mind-blowing things that have happened in the last year.
Right.
With this crazy new president of the church, this new prophet,
this young reformer,
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's barely in his 90s at this point. He's in his early 90s.
Yeah, no, he's a youngin'.
So
he's got years ahead of him. Who knows what reforms his tenure will?
Well, I can tell you what's not coming down the pike. They are not in any danger anytime soon of following in the United Methodist footsteps of accepting homosexuals.
Oh, Dan, how dare you?
The gays are...
How dare you project?
Should not be looking for enfranchisement in the LDS Church anytime soon.
It is clear to me that Rusty Nelson is a true reformer of the highest caliber.
Okay. So that's a Frank prediction. Gays in the Mormons.
I predict that someday they're going to have to figure it out.
Well, they are. They're absolutely
I don't
are.
think it's... I agree with you. It's not happening anytime soon. But it's going to be sooner than those top leaders even want it to be.
Oh, yeah. Well, they'll be dead, but like...
Well, whoever they are.
It's
just like how they were gritting their teeth when they allowed blacks to have the priesthood.
And they
have to do this.
And they were...
Why would the Lord make us have to do this?
And they were late to the game. Like that was, that was the late 70s when they did that.
Yeah.
So they were well behind the curve on that. They will also be well behind the curve on the LGBTQ population.
Oh, yeah.
But it will happen, and probably there will be a schism. But you know what? We do have some predictions for the immediate future.
Oh, yeah. Some of these sound crazy
to a Mormon ear.
Yeah. But a couple of them come from interesting sources.
Yes, indeed. I don't remember talking about this. I do think that the word of wisdom, this is the sacrosanct, sacred word, set of rules about what Mormons eat, what Mormons imbibe, all of these things.
They're
it's
very
why
limited on their imbibing.
They do not drink alcohol. They do not drink coffee or tea. They do not smoke.
Right. But they'll eat, contrary to actually the word of wisdom, they eat red meat by the fistfuls.
By the truckful.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yes,
they've always been selective.
But that one isn't a prohibition. That one's just you do something in moderation. So they interpret moderation
as being
however they want to.
Every meal.
Right.
Exactly. We will have red meat at every meal.
Well, I don't eat it for all my snacks. Sometimes.
Oh, wait. Is beef jerky?
Does that count as red meat?
Oh, shit. It is for all my snacks.
I ate chicken on Wednesday, so that was... I feel like that counts. Anyway...
But that was just for breakfast, so...
And, I have bacon for breakfast. That's the other white meat, pork. So we're in good shape over there. I do... But the rumor is that tea and possibly coffee.
So weird.
Possibly. I don't know.
Coffee? I don't know. I feel like there's a line there.
I feel like maybe... I feel like we might not get coffee.
I could see them somehow trying to figure out tea. I don't know how they figure that out.
Well, the way that they figure all of these things out, which is just the Lord has told us a new word. The Lord has given us a revelation.
It's a new word of wisdom.
It
could be the new word of wisdom.
The even wiser word of the wisdomist.
Yeah. It's funny to me because, like, that kind of speculation, like where is that coming from? Like, why would...
Well,
like,
we can say...
You look at it on the surface, why would that even be something that's in the rumor mill?
Well, there are reasons. As you know, the Mormon Church very much likes to increase their numbers. They have a very large marketing wing of young people that they send out and make them...
Right, but coffee and tea's always been a hard sell.
But here's the thing. Yeah, but they want Asia. And if you want Asia, telling Asians to give up tea is like telling... middle-aged women in Utah County to give up Diet Coke. You can't do it.
Right. I would say telling modern America to give up coffee is also ludicrous.
It's true.
We are fucking addicted.
Yeah.
Literally addicted.
Indeed.
To the stuff.
Well, I'm not. I could give it up anytime.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
I just won't.
Yeah. But nonetheless, now that's interesting. So you're thinking like go to India and China.
They're looking at China, they're looking at India, they're looking at...
China's never going to... They're not going to let them in. They're weird.
They're in.
They're in China.
At least they have
Mainland China.
I know.
They're in Hong Kong.
They're in
That's
Hong Kong.
different.
Anyway, the Lord has told them to get into China. We'll see how that works. We'll see how it goes. But I think we may be seeing tea coming down the pike.
Like just oolong? Are they going to be selective?
Herbal.
Are they going to
only herbal?
Throw a bone to their British folk and give them some Earl Grey? And
yeah, I think you got to go the whole gamut. Green, black.
Mormons would so love to get on top of tea time.
The
sisters would love to do afternoon tea.
They would love tea.
They are going to go fucking nuts if that's
true.
true.
And believe me, here's the thing. And this is so representative of Mormonism right here. I mentioned this rumor to my mother-in-law, possibly against my better judgment. I said...
Yeah, because this could so backfire. Like, a Mormon could be like, how dare you?
Right. Yeah, she could be mad. Here's her response. I was like, tea, maybe coffee, blah, blah, blah. And I thought she might be like... Because the one response is just that she gets very quiet and says, well, maybe, and then like quickly changes the subject.
Okay.
Because it sounds like I'm saying something anti-Mormon.
Sure.
Because I'm saying... But she knows that I've actually said things in the past that have come to pass. I am a prophet of her own church in terms of like predicting things.
That Dan.
So, and she knows that I don't mean her any harm now. She did not always know this. I think she's come to believe that I love her and want only good things for her. So anyway, her immediate response was, oh, you know what? If that happens, I would like to try one of those. What are they called? Is it a cappuccino? Is that what those are?
Cappuccino?
They look so pretty. I would like to try that.
Well, you get some good latte art. She should get a pretty little flower, a tree, a heart,
nice foam at the top.
Oh my God,
it's so
good.
Intriguing.
Oh, like she would just love a latte.
She turned on a dime, just speculatively,
just threw away all the years of abhorring all of coffee.
Right.
No,
exactly.
never.
Yeah.
Oh, devil juice.
100 years of history eschewing this drink, and just the sniff of it might be okay, and she is on board.
It's probably all she's been able to think about.
She said that. She sees those cups come out of Starbucks, and she's like, "What is that like? Yeah. Oh, I just wish I could try it."
It was beautiful. Smells wonderful.
Oh God,
she's probably one of those. She probably loves the smell.
That
of
was
coffee.
me. Believe me, when I first tasted coffee, just like drip coffee, and
what a disappointment!
I was like, "This is the worst. I have been lied to by the smell." That robust, beautiful smell, and it's this bitter, sad, watered-down version.
I know.
Oh, the little Mormon boy was so upset.
Imagine 2 years of walking around Italy
smelling the best coffee that there is.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It was torture. And a lot of my companions, most of my companions were just like, oh, it smells awful.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I don't know if that was just the conditioning of the whole thing. They just had to tell themselves that, no, that's awful. But, like, I grew up with, grandparents who weren't Mormon. And so, like, that was the smell of their home. And then this smelled even better than that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm also slightly fond of a little slight musty cigarette smell.
I'm very fond of like like
it's the grossest smell, and it just takes me right back to my grandma's
that's
house.
What's funny, man. When you were raised Mormon and you went into a non-Mormon's house, the smell was different.
Oh yeah,
it was a different smelling home.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, if for no other reason, maybe they use spices in their cooking. What are they doing? What is that smell? Garlic? I've never heard of it. What is that? Am I allowed to? I don't think I'm allowed.
Familiar with pepper.
I don't think I'm allowed to eat that.
Pepper was so spicy.
Oh my gosh, that was spice. My dad had hot sauce. He had Tabasco sauce.
Oh my!
And I at one point I tasted and was like, oh.
Tabasco. That's hysterical. Wow.
So I think actually one time my mom actually put Tabasco sauce on my tongue for swearing. That was my punishment.
Yeah, I think my mom did that to my sister once. Yeah. Oh God.
There you go.
That's some old school parenting right there. Get over here.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if any of this translates to our non-Mormon listeners because we're talking about stuff that sounds so insignificant and feels so enormous.
Yeah.
It's so funny how stupid this is.
But that's the thing. And that in my mind is what is so inherently wrong with Mormonism. And maybe this is maybe somebody at downtown actually has this in their head, which is all of these other little obsessions that Mormons have, because these are obsessions.
Yeah.
Right? And they are the focus of what it means to be Mormon, right?
Yeah.
These weird little things that maybe if you just lost a few of them, they could actually focus on some things that are important.
Yeah, except the Mormons they can't lose them all because Mormons the Mormon identity is largely about we are different.
And let me tell you, they're different.
They're different.
You can you could let them drink alcohol. You could let them do all sorts of things. They're still going to be different.
Yeah.
They're still going to be weird and different because unless you get rid of the temple 100%, which they'll never do.
Yeah.
That's their little special sacred thing.
Right.
They're just weird.
I don't see the alcohol thing happening. Here's an interesting question.
They could allow wine and beer. That would work with the word of wisdom.
Maybe beer, because the word of wisdom says no hard drink, and back in the day, hard drink meant spirits. It did not mean beer.
Right.
So that's a maybe, but I don't see it happening. Okay. The horse race now is, do they have gay marriage first, or do they have alcohol first? Place your bets, everybody. It's a horse race.
Gay marriage.
Yeah, I think gay marriage too.
Gay marriage.
I think it's gay marriage.
Yeah, I don't see them budging.
There's no social pressure to start drinking alcohol. There will be in the social pressure to accept homosexuality is there and will just constantly be ratcheting.
Well, and if you've lived, so the leadership of the church, they're all ancient, right?
Yeah, they're 130 years old.
There are plenty, like, if you start off your life and you're okay with your gay brother or your gay cousin or whatever, you're going to age into it.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be an older person and you're going to still love your gay brother, right?
Yeah.
But the whole alcohol thing, they see it as they're of the mindset that it's a social ill.
Yeah.
Right, which is why they legislate
continually
every year
justified,
against alcohol in this state. Right?
It's funny because they don't actually make any substantive changes to alcohol legislation in the state of Utah.
It's perfectly accessible.
They just keep finding new ways to make it annoying to drink.
Just inconvenient. They change the rules so you have to learn some new stupid rule. The next time you go into a restaurant, they're going to tell you, nope, I'm sorry, you can't do that, but you can do this.
Right, exactly. And then
it's that's how I get my alcohol.
Now a restaurant has to put up a sign that says it's not a bar, and a bar has to put up a sign. Oh, no,
they don't. 1 year.
Now they don't have to anymore.
A requirement for 1 year. Right now the big thing is that you can't stand with a drink in your hand.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes,
It's so fucking stupid. And that's not for bars, out-of-staters.
Right.
Don't think that it's totally. You can go to a bar and it's perfectly normal.
But if you go to
mostly normal.
If you go to a restaurant and you order a beer at the bar, and then they say your table's ready.
You can't carry that drink to your table.
You can't. Someone can carry that drink.
A staff member can.
A member of the staff of the restaurant can take your drink. You fucking put that shit down.
Yeah.
And you walk over and get somebody else to carry your drink for you.
Unreal.
Don't stand up.
Unreal.
Okay. Well, there you go. This has been Mormon Watch for today. If you have anything you'd like to speculate about your religion, you can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com,
or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yes, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. We'll let you in.
Yep.
It's a closed group. It protects your anonymity.
Yeah.
And all that.
And you get to, you'll be in communion with your fellow heathens. Hey, speaking of Facebook, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her amazing work on the Facebook page, and thanks to Danny and Amy for their work as moderators on the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
Yeah, and thanks again to our patrons, and thanks to you, dear friends, for listening to the show.
Bye-bye.